Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending or coming to today's webinar. I'm Aisha Ali. I'm a faculty or professor in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics at the University of Guelph. And I'm happy to have you come to this Circle webinar. So established in February 2020 at the University of Guelph, the Canada-India Research Centre for Learning and Engagement, or CIRCLE, aims to be an interdisciplinary nucleus in Canada for cutting-edge research on India, Indian diaspora to showcase, advocate, catalyze, and foster an equitable, respectful, and sustained exchange of knowledge between Canadian and Indian scholars on complex and emerging and unexplored topics related to sustainability and social and economic well-being. Circle is now on social media, Twitter, X, and Instagram. So do follow us, please. And today I would like to introduce our webinar speaker. The speaker has approximately 30 minutes to present, and then we'll have 20 minutes for question and answer or for more hopefully stimulating discussion. However, we do have a hard stop at 60 minutes, so at 11:30. So Mohammed Salim Mia is a graduate from the Public Issues Anthropology program in the Department of Sociology and Anthropology. He is the recipient of the Circle Masters Research Fund in 2023, and I'm told he's now seeking to pursue a PhD. The title of his webinar is Role of Men in Supporting Their Women Partners with Postpartum Depression, with a study among Bangladeshis in Southern Ontario, Canada. Now, just before we begin, a few notes on etiquette or logistics. Please ensure that you are on mute and that your video is off while the speaker is presenting. However, Q&A, you can feel free to wave your hand, or you can, at that point, you can also turn on your screens if you like, and indicate that you have questions, but try to keep them brief, the comments or questions, depending on the time. Just to note, this event is being recorded with the intention that we will make it available via the Circle website. And at this point, I would like to turn things over to our speaker. So Salim, please take over.
Thank you, Dr. Aisha, for providing me the floor. And welcome all of you to my webinar. My name is Mohammed Salim Mia. Today, I'll be presenting some of my MA research experiences and some key findings in this session. Before we start, let me introduce my background to you. I started my graduations in 2022 in public issues anthropology at the University of Guelph, and I finished my graduations in August 2024. This was my second master's. Before that, I had a master's in anthropology at Shahjalal University of Science and Technology, Sylhet, Bangladesh, and I had the bachelor in anthropology from the same university. In back home Bangladesh, I was serving as a assistant professor in anthropology in my same university. Currently, I am staying in Canada and searching for my PhD program. And I think we can now delve into our discussion. And before that, I'd like to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, maybe you can just put it in present mode.
Perfect, yeah. There you go. Okay, these are my discussion outline. Before the discussion outline, I would like to introduce my study. My MA thesis title is role of men in supporting their women partners in postpartum depressions, a study among Bangladeshis in Southern Ontario, Canada. These are the study outlines. Basically, Professor Dr. Aisha said that we'll have a discussions, and at the end of the session, so there is a question and answer sessions. So let's get started. Acknowledgement. At the beginning of these presentations, I'd like to offer my thanks to the Canada India Research Center for Learning and Engagement Circle for funding this project, as well as for inviting me to these sessions. I'd like to extend my gratitude to Professor Dr. Sharada Srinivasan, who supervised me for this research, as well as Professor Dr. Candice Johnson from Political Science Department. She was serving role as co-advisor. Last but not the least, I would like to extend my gratitude to all the study participants who participated this study spontaneously and helped me a lot. Therefore, otherwise it could not have been happened. About my study, I did, it was an exploratory qualitative research, and I did it in between November 26, 2023 to January 5, 2024. The study participants were men living in Toronto, Guelph, Waterloo, Kitchener, whose women partners have recently given birth in last 2 years and assume to have had or be having postpartum depression experience. I did a purposive and snowball sampling for choosing my study participants. In my study, I used 18 in-depth interviews following semi-structured interview guidelines, and I obtained informed consent from every participant with their with detailing my study and their spontaneous participation. I have a couple of research questions, but for today's discussions, I will restrict within the first research questions, like how do different types of masculinity, like hyper, hybrid, and caring masculinity influences men understanding and their supportive strategy in postpartum depression management. I had 5 research questions for today's discussions. I would say the last 3 are more relevant. Exploring the role men play in managing their women partners postpartum depression, analyzing the challenges men face in supporting their women partners postpartum depression, determine the resources needed for men for the effective support system. Let's have an idea about the postpartum depressions. Postpartum depression is a significant health concern characterized by depressive episode can be started immediately after the childbirth and last up to 1 year of childbirth. Globally, postpartum depression among mothers ranges from 0.5% to 61%. Among immigrant women, the rate is higher at 20% compared to 13% of non-immigrant people. In Canada, more than 12% of immigrant women experience postpartum depressions compared to 6% of Canada-born women. Let's look at the common symptoms of postpartum depression, like sadness, lack of energy, deficiency in concentrating, anxiety, feelings of guilty and helplessness, and in case of severe symptoms, suicidal attempts and infanticide. Can we imagine a woman can kill her child? Looks like impossible, and how it can be happen? Yes, it happened in case of extreme issues. I can share a news from New Yorker. The New Yorker published a news on October 14, 2024, where it was the article based on women like the Patrick Clancy's wife killed her children during the postpartum mental health crisis. One husband shared how his wife killed their children during the postpartum depression. So yes, it happened. It happened, and it's happening due to the extreme case of postpartum depression. It revealed that yes, postpartum depression is extremely a health concern and particularly public health concern, and it needs a great attention. What interested me in studying postpartum depression among Bangladeshis in Canada? The prevalence rate of postpartum depression in among Bangladeshis are 22%, which is significantly higher. Besides that, as I am talking about the high prevalence rate of postpartum depression in a context of Bangladesh, in where the society is mostly patriarchal and predominantly uh, practicing the hegemonic or hyper masculinity behavior towards the women. So in Bangladesh, there is in spite of all of this support, there is in the patriarchal society like Bangladesh, the senior most male member basically hold the key decision maker, like the decision making regarding the family issues and the healthcare issues and also considered as the head of the family and the household. In spite of having this patriarchal structure of society, there is the opportunity for the women in Bangladesh receiving support from the family members. There is extended family support in Bangladesh, particularly from the female family members. Besides that, there is a paid services for the homemade, basically the women can work and support a lot in times of all the time, like during the postpartum or the pregnancy time to the women, and help them in childcare, home activities, cooking, or all other activities. And beside after this, having all of this support, there is another support like there is a practice in Bangladesh, sometimes you would say sometimes women move to their own parents' home during their pregnancy and childbirth, or even after the childbirth, they stay longer time to their own parents' home, which provided them a great emotional support and helped them to reduce their workload, childcare, and all other domestic activities. At the same time, in some rural areas in Bangladesh, after the childbirth, there is a 40 days confinement practices in Bangladesh where it is actually help them to restore their previous status of the previous physical status and gain strength for starting life newly. But when I moved in Canada in 2022, I witnessed a different scenario that there is no extended family support in Canada. So it struck me a lot that although the postpartum depression rate is higher in Bangladesh, in spite of having extended family support, but in Canada, there is no extended family support. Family basically consists of like nuclear family, like husband, wife, and child. So what is happening here? How do they deal with these complicated issues? So it made me interested to studying um, Bangladeshi men, actually particularly Bangladeshis, about the postpartum depression management and their attitude and their role. Why? Let's talk about the behind the story of these selections. Why focus on men in postpartum depression management? Postpartum depression related to women, but why I focused on men? It's a great questions. So I analyzed the questions, and yeah, the answer is like that. As I already mentioned that the in Canada, the family structure, particularly the immigrant family structure, is predominantly, I mean, nuclear, husband, wife, and child consists the families. Therefore, and most of the time, as they are from Bangladesh, male male member actually hold the key responsibilities for the breadwinning. I mean, like earning. On the other hand, women partner sometimes play a role as a housewife. Therefore, men become key decision makers in terms of different family issues and healthcare issues. It focused that man is very crucial in this context. At the same time, for the I said that Bangladesh is predominantly patriarchal society. and there is some hegemonic practice or hyper masculinity practice is there. Like, my question is that if they are from the same background in Canada, staying in Canada, and men can play a role to influence as the fueling factor of postpartum depression, and can play as the role of minimizing their postpartum depression. Because if the man just practices the patriarchal or hegemonic hyper masculinity characteristic, like manly characteristics, strong gender division of labor they followed, they will impose women for all the unpaid work, like the childcare, domestic activities, cooking, all the activities, which will increase their burden. I mean, activities over, they will be overburdened and they will be stressed. So, on the other hand, if the man can adopt a very caring, sensible, responsible role, it can just help as a medicine of reducing postpartum depression. That's the point I made, that men can play a significant, important role in dealing with their postpartum depression. There is other reason behind these selections, that is the research gap. Most of the time, the running current studies are basically focused on the women studies. I mean, women experiences, their sufferings, their health-seeking behavior, health-seeking challenges, and all other issues. There is a little bit of studies, some studies actually about the male suffering. I mean, man sufferings, but there is a gap in between this. That is that. There is a little study about how men adopt what men approaches is there regarding their women partners postpartum depressions, their role, and their activities, their involvement in helping or reducing their women partners postpartum depression. This altogether inspired me to work, focus on the man in regarding postpartum depression management. These are the theoretical aspect I used in my research for the greater understanding. But I would say we can discuss all of this when we'll be talking. I'll be talking about my findings of these studies. But let's have as a gross idea about basically I will try to discuss patriarchy, gender division of labor, and masculinity in this today's discussions. Patriarchy, which legitimate the male dominancy, leading to the subjugations and exploitations of women. On the other hand, I discussed gender division of labor from two contexts, like traditional context and egalitarian context. In traditional context, basically domestic work, childcare, and all of the other non-paid, unpaid work assigned for the women, and men appear as the key breadwinners. On the other hand, for the egalitarian perspective, it basically focuses on the joint, combined, or more balanced gender division of labor, and greater understanding between the gender gender people. And masculinity is actually I used in my, this is one of the key areas of my research. I used masculinity in three different terms, like hegemonic or hyper masculinity. This basically the characteristics of the man to be. I mean, masculinity is itself is like being a man, showing like this, being a man, manly characteristics is masculinity. And for the hegemonic or the hyper masculinity, has some characteristics like hiding the emotion, showing the emotional toughness, and disrespectful word towards the women's. All are, and taking the risk. All are the characteristic of hyper masculinistic masculine character. On the other hand, hybrid masculinity embraces the both hyper masculinistic characteristic, and as well as the progressive masculinity characteristics, like the caring masculinity. Caring masculinity basically focus on the more combination, I mean, more cooperative, more supportive role in terms of gender role. Let's move to the key findings of the study. Yeah, in the next few slides, I'll just share with you about some of my key findings of the study. First of all, the fueling factors of postpartum depression. My study participant revealed different types of factors which they assumed influenced to increase their women partners postpartum depression. I categorize them into two different issues like first of all, lifestyle and daily functioning disruptions. Factors are like feelings lost in normal lives, including the sleep disruptions, overburdens with childcare and household activities, frustrations due to inability of breastfeeding and insufficient breastfeeding, excessive concern about the baby. And the second is social and the emotional support deficiency, lack of extended family support, burden of fulfilling traditional community expectation, financial uncertainty, including the career and the academic hurdle, gaps in marital understandings like spouse pauses in sexual life. What strategies taken by the man or both women for reducing their women partners postpartum depression? In my study, I found that basically most of the study participants relied on non-formal support system, means the support from the non-professional body, from the non-official sources of support. On the like the traditional help, help, community support, family support, spiritual support, and virtual help, and sometimes healthcare. They in terms of formal support, like they to receive support from the healthcare providers in a formal in form of formal support. Let's delve into the non-formal support system. They basically receive different types of supported from their community, particularly from their neighbors, friends, and their colleagues in terms of advice, guidance, information, shared experiences, provided food, help in cooking. Interesting is that sometimes neighboring women came to the study participants' home and cooked their food for 3 or 5 or 7 days. And sometimes they provided the ready-made food to the women during their postpartum time. It have based on my study, it helped a lot to reduce their workload, which felt them better, relatively relaxed than that of other days. Secondly, they receive support from the family too. As I already mentioned, that their family support, I mean practical family support is not existing longer in Canada for the immigrant people, particularly for my study participant. I found only one participant out of 18 received their having their parents here with them and providing them supports. Otherwise, they receive supported from the family members, basically from the female family members, our telephone, our video call. And like this, they sometimes relied on the virtual sources for search the postpartum depression issues and seek the strategies. What should be the recovery strategies? All of this through the YouTube and Google. The most interesting thing is that the religious guidances, they in my study, a considerable amount of study participants relied on the religious guidance in relieving their postpartum depressions. There's an interesting, I got an interesting like practices, like they sometime in my study, it should be mentioned that my out of 18, only one participant were from other religion and 17 participants were from Muslim. Their background is Muslim, so they basically relied on faith on Allah, like God, and practice. They involve in prayer, seek help from the Allah, and listen to dharmiya. They call this the religious speech. They call this dharmiya words from YouTube and other sources, and on particular issues like how to manage stress, family issues, responsibilities, husband and wife rules, all of these issues, and get information regarding their concern. The most interesting practice I found in my study is like they call is halakha. Halakha is very interesting practice. My study participant revealed that halakha helped them reducing their women partners postpartum depression. Halakha is a kind of a family kind of religious discussions in a family. Like on the halakha day, they basically do this halakha. I mean religious discussion bi-weekly or once in a month. They invite their similar minded friends and family, and they also declared a topic to discuss on the day earlier. Once they are on the halakha day, for the particularly for the postpartum women house, people from their near and dear with a similar minded background. They visit their home, they get together, they discuss. They discuss openly with their family issues, personal issues, their sufferings, how to deal with this, and they get guidance from the other people based on religion and based on their experiences. Explained that it helped a lot because it opened the window to discuss their personal issues with other people, having no other considering other issues, what other people will think or like this, because they choose this group based on their same mentality, same religious background, and who has a very good understanding. So for after the first sessions, they have some foods, and they declare the next session to other houses with a topic. They research on this topic, and they on the day on the next session they started discussing on this issue. I find it very interesting because I didn't get it in Bangladesh too. I didn't hear it also in Bangladesh too. I guess because in Bangladesh they have a extended family support, have friends, families, and all other members are there, so they might not need such type of discussion. But here, I think this halaka played a role as a substitute family, I guess. Next is the formal support. I said they received a little bit formal support. Basically, they didn't in my study. I didn't get anyone visited healthcare supporter in receiving their postpartum depression related support. They basically visited their healthcare providers for other issues like their child issues, breastfeeding issues, and other issues, and discuss their healthcare providers while visiting for other purposes. And the healthcare provider basically offered them preventive approaches like counseling them, they provide them some leaflets and other supportive documents rather than providing any prescriptions. And I asked the reason behind that because in Canada the mental health support is very system is very strong. I asked them, why didn't you take the support from the formal healthcare provider? I got a diverse responses among all others. I characterized the main few reasons. Most of them said that most of the time the physicians like this healthcare provider prioritize on physical health rather than the mental health. Sometimes the healthcare provider didn't ask them about mental health issues, or once they ask about their mental health issues, they just ignored or sometimes give them superficial answer or try to ignore or avoid these issues because they didn't did they said that they didn't get proper attention from the service providers, and therefore they didn't feel it necessary. So sometimes they said that this is our personal issues and we should figure out this, we should talk about each other, help each other. We don't need to go to the service provider. There is other issues like the stigma, which is a social barrier. They found that what other people will think if I go to seek help for my partners for mental health issue. Mental health they consider as the very stigmatized word. I can share one quotation that will reveal the situation. I wanted my women partners to visit a psychologist, but didn't feel comfortable. If other people know about the depressive symptoms of my wife, I might be questions about the different family-related issues, and I didn't want to disclose my family issues with others. That's the issue. That's the issue. Handing issue. They didn't go for the formal supported. These are the key. This is one of the key section of my study. Like I tried to interlink different types of masculinity in terms of their support system and their understanding of postpartum depression. I utilize caring masculinity, hyper masculinities, and hybrid masculinity. In my study, most of the study participants revealed their caring attitude, like enhancing support and shared responsibility to their women partners. Men sometimes offered quality time, provided them with emotional supported, took the lunch or any meal together, discuss openly, and sometimes go out for outing, discuss, meet with other people, like invited people for the discussions, as I already mentioned, halakha, these types of activities to help reducing their women partners postpartum depression. They sometimes assisted childcare, child caring, like support their women partners taking care of the babies and spending time with the babies, and sometimes help women in cooking, like cutting some vegetables or other issue, other supportive stuffs, and help them in cooking. Remember, still cooking is women's job because they help them in cooking. Childcare decision, because they also respected to their women partners healthcare decision making. In my study participant, most of them, I mean 5 out of 18, provided most of, I can say a considerable amount of people, considerable number of people provided support to their women, respect to their women partners decisions. And my study revealed that in terms of healthcare, this is quite different from Bangladeshi context. My study found that in terms of seeking healthcare support, healthcare decision, women appeared as the key decision maker. Most of the study participants revealed that their women partners decide to go or not, or to seek the services or not. This is really interesting and different from Bangladeshi context. Masculinity characteristic and patriarchy. This is one of the areas where I found some of my study participants adopted hypermasculine and patriarchal characteristics, which actually challenges in adopting the equitable gender roles, like the caring role as a man. They because in different activities we revealed that yes, they have some hyper masculinistic and patriarchal characteristics, like they reduced to they were reluctant to involve in domestic activities, considering these are the women job. They didn't involve in a greater extent, and show emotional toughness to the women, particularly when they sometimes they blame their women partners for for the postpartum depression. And sometimes they in my study I found that one of the concerning area of women is inability to breastfeed or struggling breastfeeding enough. So sometimes male partners blame their women partners, and inability, why you are not able to produce enough breast milk. Other women are doing the same. You're not a good mom. These are the huge mental pressure for the women. And sometimes they took the unilateral decision-making authority. They decided if they will go to seeking services or not. They are the key authority. They played as a key authority in decision-making of health. And sometimes other issues that they hesitate to share their disclose their domestic role. They played with other people, particularly with their friends, family in Canada and in Bangladesh. They are connected with Bangladesh, with our front, and they never they feel not comfortable what they're doing at the home, particularly when they involve themselves in cooking, domestic activity like cleaning or washing dishes or washing clothes. They don't like to share with the other people, particularly with their neighbors, friends, families, colleagues. These are the symptoms that they are still practicing hypermasculinistic characteristics, and they are adopting patriarchal attitudes. Lastly, the hybrid masculinity. These are the actually combinations of both the traditional and the egalitarian masculine role. Here that they promote, in few study participants promoted flexible gender division of labor. They said that we don't divide our domestic activities among us, because it's our joint responsibility. We do together. Sometimes they take their healthcare decision collaboratively with discussing with each other. And the last question issue is like struggling giving up the traditional mindset. That's why they are inputting hybrid, not not the hyper, not the caring. They don't, they still adopting their mindset, like these are I am man, I have to show manly attitudes, and she's women, she needs to do some caring responsibility. This approach is still, they are struggling to give up this attitude still now. We are just approaching to the ending of this sessions. Now I want to discuss a little bit about the challenges faced by the women by the men in supporting the women partners, and suggestion for their improvement. In terms of challenges, the study participant mostly I mean all of them, almost all of them said that they struggled a lot in balancing their professional life, career life, earning, and the family responsibility, particularly after the childbirth, the additional responsibility towards the baby, and women partners, as well as earning income, all actually put them into the struggle, financial struggle. Like they face a huge struggle managing their financial stability due to the limited job leave and the job security also. All the issues lead to the deteriorations in marital relationships, which actually one of the factors of postpartum depression. If the relationship between husband and wife is not good, there might be negative consequence for the women. And participant also mentioned, I mean, one third participant mentioned that they also had gone through the huge mental and physical stresses. And they mentioned that most of the time people ask about their women partners, mental issues, physical issues, child issues, but never asked about us. I mean, the man, what are you doing, man? How are you adopting? How are you balancing all of these issues? Is everything's okay? Are you good, man? Sometimes they claim that even their women partners don't ask that, are you good, man? Are you feeling better? Or didn't do enough effort to reduce their, mental stress. Lastly, they mentioned, few study participants said that, yeah, they had to sacrifice their career, their professional life due to the involvement of due to the involvement of their childcare, or I mean family responsibilities. One participant can reveal it more better. As an average person, not a prophet, I tolerated it as much as I could. I tried to understand her problems and explore solutions, but when nothing worked after multiple attempts, I reacted. I reached my limit, started reacting, leading to the deterioration in our relationship. These are the conditions, like all other factors, actually turn into the deteriorations in marital relationships and impacted women and men both badly. The suggestions for improving the support systems, most of the study participant explained or stated that they feel like they should have men should have a better understanding and positive approaches regarding their women partners. They should be more cooperative and supportive, understanding. Basically, some participant particularly mentioned that Bangladeshi people don't like to go to kitchen, do work. Cooking, childcare, or other domestic activities. They suggested that every man should know about cooking and all other the stuff like doing in domestic work, helping their women partners, have a better understanding, positive understanding, good understanding to their women partners, which can help as the medicine for the women partners to reduce their postpartum depression. The second issue is important. This is first one is also important. Second issue is unique in terms of uh, Canada, that they asked for the mandatory parental leave and reforming employment insurance policy. This is a policy issues. They asked that in Canada, if after childbirth, both parents can take or enjoy 12 months or 18 months parental leave, but these are not mandatory. These are conditional. Once you go to the parental leave, you will earn 55% of your salary without job. But they explain that these are not sufficient, because once they are used to with 100% salary of their life, they are still running out of money, out of their their limitation. So they said that, yeah, this 55% salary is not enough, and there are some huge condition getting this 55%. Getting this EI, they call employment insurance. You need to have some working hours, some other job offer, and other conditions. They said that these are very unrealistic and complicated. It needs to make easier. They asked for the comprehensive mental health support from the former healthcare support. As it revealed that although they didn't receive a greater support from the former healthcare providers, but they said that yeah, if these concerning issues are addressed properly, they might receive the services from the healthcare providers, particularly considering their religious background, their belief system, their cultural practices, and their family structure. They asked not to prescribe only or just suggest impractical something other than one participant said that if I go to the healthcare providers, she will say spend quality time with your partners. But my study participant said that I am the only earning persons. I am earning for my two babies, one child, two babies, and my wife and me. We are four members in our family. I am earning I am doing hard job, spending a lot of time outside. How can I involve in supporting my women partners? So if I go to the healthcare providers, they will guide me, suggest me, spend quality time with your spouse. This is unrealistic, he said. So study participant said that it should be in considerations. They should have a comprehensive idea, give a holistic view, providing support to the patient. And enhance community support. They also asked community people to enhance their support. Although in my study participant, I found huge support. Participant mentioned that they received huge community support, and they asked to keep this support continuing in future for the other couples, so that it can help to ease their postpartum depression. And lastly, ensure support from the women mothers. Like they ask government to make it easy to bring their women partners mother to the Canada, so that they can come here and provide them emotional and all other support. Lastly, in conclusion, I would wrap up with my discussion in three key points. Like as I mentioned, that caring masculinity, most of the study participants in my study revealed adopted caring masculinity, but this is there is some other reality inside, because I witnessed, and from my study, it also found that their caring attitude and caring activity is partial, occasional, not regular basis, based on their time availability of the time. If they have enough time, then they spend their time with the child, involved in domestic activities. But this is not on a regular basis. This is a concerning issue, that although they have some caring attitude, but these are not regular. The second, persistence of patriarchal norms and hypermasculinity. Yeah, still, although they are living in Canada, they are still adopting, and in their subconscious mind, the patriarchal norms and hypermasculinity characteristics. Like they still holding the decision making, or sometimes imposing decision, or sometimes holding the key earning positions, and therefore women partners completely relied on their partners decisions. So women partners lose their bargaining authority. So even they still considered uh, caring job, childcare, domestic work, cooking, still only solely for the women job. So there, I can add a few words from my study like this. I know, Professor Aisha, we are running out of time, right? We are running out of time. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's
one
11:13 now.
2 minutes. Like I'm just
Yeah.
concluding. Yeah. Yeah, what I said, the persistent of patriarchal norms and hypermasculinities, because they said in terms of after the child delivery, basically sometimes people visit their home, and they said that once anybody visit their home, the women partner needs to be well dressed, prepared some foods, clean the rooms. It put them extra burden. Look, all the responsibilities assigned to the women. They suggested for the women partners, mothers to come and support. Still, caring job is for women. I mean, women partners is an aged person, but they're expecting she will come and support them. And yes, that's the issues that in internal inner minding, they are still considering all the domestic work, supporting all the caring work, cooking, all of the women's job, which actually put women into a burden and stress them a lot. finally, the fluidity of the masculinity. Yeah, I found in my study, this is interesting because those people who are adopting caring masculinity doesn't mean they will always caring. The people who are caring sometimes adopt the hyper masculine characteristic. On the other way, same, vice versa. Sometimes those who are hyper masculinistic characteristic like aggressive, showing toughness to the women, sometimes adopt the caring masculinity. So masculinity is like a fluid issue. It transferable from one form to another form. Lastly, what I can offer from my study is like for the women, for the men, I say that from their suggestions and from my study, it's like they need to have a better understanding, adopt more caring masculine role, and making a balance between work and family life. This is very, very crucial. They need to focus on these issues to make it more smooth. For the women, yeah, I say, as I mentioned, in my study, most of the study participants are housewives. Only few of them, I mean, 5 out of 18 involved in part-time job. But during their pregnancy and childbirth, there was no income. So they completely rely on their women part of male partners. Therefore, it put the main authority to take all the decisions, and women become completely reliable. I mean, dependent on the male partners. If they have some earning sources, they could have the space to bargain the domestic work, childcare, on all other issues, which would help them to reduce their stress. Lastly, like community support, community should play as I mentioned, the community played a significant role in reducing their women protest. At the same time, sometimes community people uh, stress a lot with some other issues like stigma, put some other additional advices which put them into more stressful situations. So they need to be sensible. Lastly, the service provider, as I already mentioned in the suggestion, the service provider and all the policymakers should have a comprehensive idea about the particular community, like the Bangladeshi community or other South Asian or any other immigrant community. All other issues, they should have a holistic approach, holistic understanding before providing their support. Thank you very much, and I am welcoming all of you to the questions and suggestions.
Okay, thank you for a very interesting discussion. At this point, I'll open the floor to questions from the audience. You can write them in the chat or raise your hand, and we'll start with Taif or Ahmed. You can go ahead.
Taif Ahmed, you can go.
I think you're muted still.
Please unmute.
Okay, so maybe while you figure out oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello. Sorry, some network problem. Thank you very much, Mr. Salimia, for your excellent presentation. Really, it was tremendous. And recently, I have become a father, and from your valuable discussion, I have learned a lot. And it makes me impressed that you are thinking a lot, and your presentation gives us a vast knowledge about PPD. Thank you very much for such arrangement. Will you kindly tell me more about halakha? What do you find in Canada? Halakha, how do it work? Because we know it is not practicing in Bangladesh. Then how we could play a role in our society? It is.
That's a very good question. You know, I mentioned in my discussions that halakha is a religious practice. They basically invite their similar minded people at home, and they actually declared an issue before the session, and everybody prepared. They discuss their issues. They learn. They search the knowledge. And once on the halakha day, they discuss any questions. They have a question answer sessions. One keynote speaker, he delivered the key issues, And after that, they started discussing their issues. Like it's all about their personal experiences, and they try to get out the information. I mean, the solution from based on the religious guidelines and their experiences. So my study participant in Canada, the few of study participants revealed that yes, it helped a lot because it opened the door for the open discussions, and they find that they are not that alone. They are getting the same experiences from other people. That's why they feel better. Yeah, but yeah, we can adopt. I don't know. From my knowledge, I know that this I didn't heard about the similar practice in Bangladesh, but yeah, maybe it could be a good start if somebody find the similar group and start discussing. It could have been a good.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so next we have Nazma, and then we have one from the chat, Reswal, and then Saiful.
Oh, thank you so much. First of all, I appreciate highly, Salim, for your intriguing presentation and exploring the almost unexplored areas. Thank you so much. And I'm just wondering, though it's not the central issues of your research, like you have mentioned, men should come up with their caring masculinity and they should have more understanding. I was just wondering if their mental health could be an issue, like if there is any chance that men are also suffering from their postpartum, mental, may not be a diagnosis of depression, but is there any possibility that they're also suffering from some sorts of mental health issues? And is there any chance, or what could be your suggestion, like what makes the men to be hyper masculine, not the caring masculinity, rather than our, like patriarchal structure and so and so, like based on the findings, did you have any recommendation or any understanding on that?
That's a great question. That's a very relevant questions too. Yeah. In my study, I found I said that 17 out of 18 participants revealed that they struggled a lot balancing their family responsibilities and their career, and they had a great stressful time. And yeah, there is a high probability, and there are some studies regarding the postpartum depression of men too. Yeah, although it's issue about women, but at the time, a man also takes some huge extra load, extra responsibility, and extra mental stress, which is really unexplored and unseen. People don't ask about. My study participants said that, like a regret. Oh, nobody asked me about my mental health issue, even my wife. But I and everybody asks a concern about my wife and my child. So yeah, that's the issue. Yeah, there are some diverse issues. Men adopting masculine characteristics. I said as hyper masculinistic characteristic. I said that my study participant mostly are the key earning members. So they are holding the key decision-making authority. So they have less time spending in family and childcare. So definitely, these are they're influencing them, practicing their hypermasculinistic characteristics, as women are more or less morally dependent, and they're doing their caring jobs and domestic activities, childcare, cooking, like this. Yeah, but yeah, there is a huge factors, huge issues. Men to be mentally depressed, and postpartum depression of men is also a huge as a great areas of interest. Yeah.
Okay, let's move to someone in the chat. I think it was, I had the chat.
Yeah.
Razal, yes. Please,
Yeah,
go ahead.
thank you, Salimia, for your presentations. So actually, this is very interesting topic that I guess from Circle, and I am joining from Germany. I'm from Bangladesh,
Wow.
and already I finished my PhD. My PhD part is basically agriculture, sociology, and ecology. So it is the part of sociology. So nice to hear something from different aspect, especially postpartum depressions in case of Canada. So you put the formal support, it's good, but I want to know about you also at the end discusses about the parental leave, maternal leave. In case of Germany, here is also the formal support like the midwife. So midwife, the insurance policy cover if the mother need any support after child. So midwife come and give support. So what about the midwife in the policies of insurance in Canada? And another support may be the, they are the unit family, only husband and wife that they are living, the Bangladeshi, in case of Bangladeshi. So can they bring their mother or father because from Bangladesh? What is the visa policy at this moment? So just I am thinking about the formal regulation this. And I just want to comment one thing. You put the research methodology, it is a explorative qualitative, but in case of result, I found most of them is quantitative. Just you explain as number. As for example, 9 out of 18 get from community support. But if you explain it in percentage, also in case of the pyramid graph 3.1, 3.2, in case of percentage, so it will be good. So how many percent? Suppose 9 out of 18, it is difficult to understand. But in the case of, if you put in percentage, 9 means 50%, so easily to guess the result. So maybe you can explain in case of, in terms of percentage instead of number. So this is my one comment. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rezaul Karim, and I really appreciate for attending this session from Germany. And your question and suggestion is truly invaluable. Yes, the question is answer is that yeah, there is some midwifery system in Canada too, but everybody doesn't cover, everybody's health insurance doesn't cover the this support. For those who are able to avail these services, they basically get services up to 6 weeks of delivery. Yeah, they sometimes visit home, and yeah, there's some support, like there are some support workers too. They visited home and provided some support, like they helped in domestic work, child caring, and all other issues. But these are for those who are highly salaried people and their insurance basically covered. But most of the time, it doesn't cover. That's the issue. And yeah, for the insurance policy, yeah, these are not mandatory. You can take, I mean, EI, they call it insurance, employment insurance, I mean, parental leave, but there are some conditions, like you can take both, mother and father both can take together, or one after another, till 12 months to 18 months, but then they will receive like 55% of their salaries, which is actually deduct their income drastically. They're used to with the 100% salary, with this 54%, none of the after study participants receive this EI, because they mentioned that these are not realistic and it's not easy to survive with this little amount. Yes, in terms of visa policy, yeah, there is a reunifications of Canada for the parents in terms of supporting women partners. But in Canada, this policy is time consuming and long lasting and uncertain. Everybody is not getting the visa, so these are actually not certain. If you wish to have your parents in your during the postpartum time, it doesn't happen. I said that only one couple could do this out of 18 in my study. Yeah, in terms of method, yeah, you said you did you pointed out the great issues, like, yeah, as I already mentioned, that it is a qualitative study. Therefore, I didn't focus on the percentage. In qualitative study, basically we explain the situation, how much rather than how percentage, to reveal their qualifying their experiences rather than quantifying the issues. So, but after that, for the understanding, I just put into the bracket like 7 out of 18 to have an idea. But basically, in qualitative study, we basically focus on the description narratives, or the portion of the people, like few people, a considerable amount of people. But for understanding, I just put the bracket and added the number. So yeah, you are true. If it could have been a I mean, mixed method study, like qualitative, quantitative, that could have been I mean, amazing. I know, yeah. I could say this is one of the limitation. If the study was like the mixed method study, I could just incorporate all the statistical issues as well as the qualitative explanation. That could have made the study more stronger. Thank you for your suggestion. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you. So I think one suggestion more, just you can put your research questions not what, you can also include why or how. Maybe I found in the research questions starting with what only. So you can start your research question with why or how, maybe it will be good.
That's a good suggestion. Yeah. Not only maybe.
Okay, so we have about 1 minute left and we have one more
Thank you very
question. So I think I'll pass it over to Saiful, let
Thank you,
her
Dr.
ask her
Veda.
question as we have a hard stop at
Thank you.
11:30.
Thank you very much.
And just lastly, I can share my thesis in inbox. You can just go through my thesis and get good idea. And I'll share my email too. If you have any issues, you can just contact me. Thank you very much.
Okay, Saiful, your question?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to make a query. And it's really a moment of pride for me as I am from Bangladesh and a researcher from Bangladesh with such an amazing topics. Amazing, I am telling for this reason, as a student of internal medicine, I have seen we are emphasizing more on physical health, keeping the mental health far behind, and in these topics the way of solution, the main way of solution has been put it in highlight. It's very crucial because in this postpartum period, most of the antidepressant or antipsychotic drugs are contraindicated or create some deformities to the baby. So my question is, though it is a social research in clinical medicine in puerperal psychiatric disorders is divided in 3 types depending on the duration and presentation, like postpartum blue, depression, and psychosis. How have you defined postpartum depression in your research?
That's a great question. Yeah, that's a great question. In the clinical term, you're true that postpartum depression can be classified into 3. But for my study, I basically focus on, postpartum depression is very clinical word. So it's very difficult for the public people and mass people to let them understand the clinical issues. So I try to explore them with the similar kind of Bengali. I conducted my research in Bengali language, so I try to use the similar languages, like is there any symptoms they witness after the child delivery which they assume due to their stress or their which is unusual, they assume, which they consider that these are for the additional stress or some depression or some issues which is not they consider as usual time. So they use different types of Bengali word in explaining their postpartum depression, like they said bishonnota, duschinta, hatasha, mon kharab. These are all similar words, to express the depressive aspect of postpartum depressions. Yeah, that's a great question you raise. Yeah, for the social science research, we don't actually explore the clinical issues a lot. So it was my focus to understand their narratives, how they explain their postpartum depression experiences. Thank you.
Okay, we're a couple of minutes over, but I think Salim said that he, you can always check out his thesis, and if you have other questions or comments, you can certainly email or put them in the chat and we'll see them after. But thank you very much for a very enlightening discussion, and I hope everybody has a good day. We'll close it here.